Okay, recording started. So welcome to Digitech with Papa Ian. I know everybody's busy with the math homework or whatever homework. So I'm just gonna do a quick overview of the documents that Ian has sent through, and then we'll see what we can do. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Ian, and then we can have another session. First one is quite simple. In the entity relationship diagram, represent attributes. That one is ellipse. So basically, if you have a student, so this is a student, and then you have the student name. So you name is the properties of the student. So you have a name here, and that is an ellipse. And then generally, once that one has been done as an ellipse, you can then translate that into a database. So database columns. Next one, image represent data flow diagram. I do believe this one here will be our data source or our database. Oh, there's two. Now you're confusing me. So let's see if I can undo it. Erase it. So it's actually the data store, but data source doesn't make sense. So data store, so database. So that's our database. Right. So the next question is very interesting. Relationship diagram. I will need to check on that one, but the customer number here on the left hand side, that one is definitely primary key. This one here, this is what we call a foreign key. So it's not a secondary key, but it's a foreign key. The reason why we call this a foreign key is because that this key is related to a primary key from the other table. Right. So the next one here, this one here, what I would say is that if you look at all the tables and all the columns has been filled, so that will become the first normal form. So if you see holes in the table, that one is the unnormalized form. And then once you populate the column with all the field informations, that will become the first normal form. Now what we're going to do next is that we can go into the second normal form, is that if you take this student information, so if you take this student in so if you take the student information out of too exciting. So if you take the student information out, so if you only have student ID, primary key, and subject as the primary key, and you don't have the student information here, that should be fine. This is where it then becomes the second normal form. So where you actually have two tables. So you move the student ID, student details into a student table, and then this table will only have the student. And then on your third normal form is what you can do is you can do the head of the department. So that's not working. So what you can do here is that the head of the department, let me just change my color. So the head of the department, it depends. The question here is depends, because if the subject here is a primary key, what we can do is that we can also move the subject and the head of the department into a separate table. So you will end up with student ID table, and then you have the subject, and then in here you're gonna have a separate table here for the subject data, and then you have a separate table here for the student. Apologies, I tried to write in mouse, and then that becomes the third normal form. So first normal form, second normal form when you remove the student, the third normal form is that you remove the head of department properties. Right. Code, my favorite. So I think we can definitely do a session that we can look at more into the code, but this is the code. So 5, 6, and 7 actually focuses on the for loop. So which is very simple. So basically it says that initialization, so for loop, the first column here is always initialization. So that goes to question 5, which is that one there. So the loop will start to count from 1. And then in here it's asking which of the following increase the loop by 1 each time. So increase increment. So let me change color again. I love this color changing. So that one is the increment. So that's jumping around. So that's going to that question. So that one will be the I. And then the last one here is that when do you want the loop to stop, or the test counter. So you've guessed it. So the test counter will be the middle bit here. So that one goes down to question number 7, which is the I less than 20. So that's the simple one. Right, so now let's do more difficult one. Let's go to the next question. What does this line test do? Okay, so it refers to the if I equals 10, but it also refers to the command that comes after that. So it refers to this block here. So what does it do? So we already know if the counter equals 10. So definitely it doesn't stop and it doesn't skip. So what it's saying is that when the loop variable gets to 10, right? When it gets to 10, when it says it breaks new line and the rest of the numbers are printed on second line, well, not really, because in here, oh, hang on, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, my bad. That's the 20. We are looking here, so equals to 10 here. So if you're looking at that, so if that's equals to 10 and then it says print BR, so this one here is the HTML code for break or go to the new line. So that means the answer of A is correct. So it say when it gets to 10, that will break and print it on the second line. But since we here, we can explore if I not equals to 20. So what it's saying is that as long as the number doesn't hit 20, it always attach a comma at the end. So that's the point D here. Right, so next question. Data set. All right. So I have no idea about the territory, so we'll just need to figure out what it is. If you want to put a SQL query to order the state by A to Z and height tallest to smallest, what the order will look like. All right, so first thing we need to know is that what is the order by. So we go SQL order by default settings. So so in here it says that ascending, sorting by ascending is always the default. So what we need to do here is that it wants to sort the state by A to Z, which is ascending, but then it wants to sort height, tallest to smallest, which is descending. So we already know this one, height descending, height descending. So those two is already the option. So we can technically ignore B. So B and D is not right. So the problem here is that we go order by state or order by state then. Well, then is not really an if SQL command. So the right command will be order by state, which is by default it will go ascending, and then we comma height descending. So that's how you do it. So remember that if you want to do order by, you can actually specify multiple order by with the comma in between, which is quite nice. Now, if you only wanted the names of all states or territory, what would you select? So this is a tricky one because you have the or in there, but I don't think you have or in SQL. So it says or, which means it says I just want the states or the territories. But if I have both, I should be fine as well. Because remember, the or command is basically one or both. So that's why we like to use the select state, comma, territory. So we will get both of the field into the information. Now, if you want all peaks over 1300 meters, but only in the mainland states, so I think the territory here is all the same, so we don't have to worry about them. So basically what it's saying is that if the territory is no, so if you go back to the table, if it says no, that means that it is not a mainland. So we want to focus on the one that says yes. So that's fine. So that's all the same. So we don't have to worry about that. So what we need to worry about is whether the peaks over 1300. Oh, another one as well is that but only. So we need to understand the connection. So that this question is asking about and. So it's basically 1300 and in the mainland. So definitely these two that says or is not required. So now we only have these two options. So the problem here is that I'm assuming, and this is where the English come. So I say over 1300, which means that we don't want to 1300. We want 1301. So that's why we choose the A, because remember in the A, we using bigger than command. So bigger than command, anything bigger than 1300. So 1301, 1302, and so on. So that's why we choose A. Right. So if you want any peak in South Australia, Queensland, and New South Wales, what is the best way to write where? Well, definitely this, I don't think this one here is working, but we can definitely check it. So let's go and check. So SQL where multiple condition. Let's have a look. Selecting with multiple where. That's the wrong condition. Let's see. Learn SQL might be better. No. So if the condition is between two different columns, then you can definitely use the and the or. But here, hmm. So I am liking this. So if I'm writing the query, then the D here makes sense because it's already saying that peak equals SA, peak equals Queensland, peak equals New South Wales. I just wanting to know, definitely number one, A is not right. C is also not right. I'm interested to know with the in. So let's see if we can figure it out. Yeah, so look, from the command here, it looks like in is useful if you are comparing a field, but you want to compare multiple values. So you can say here, select star from customer where country equals Germany or country equals France or country equals UK. So we can definitely use the in. So what we can do is that we actually, this one here is also working as well. So for question 12, I believe there's two answers. Unless they can tell me something is wrong, because you already have the equal sign. So I am not sure why they have two answers, but for me it is two answers. So you got peak equals SA, peak or peak equals Queensland, or peak equals New South Wales. All right. So now question 13. How do you show all columns for peaks between 1000 and 1200 meter? So let's see. So peak 1000 and 1200. So definitely that one, this B and C is definitely not the right one. I'm stuck with A and D. The reason why I'm stuck between A and D is that whether you want to include 1000 and 1200. Now, if my English is correct, if that says between, it looks like they also want to include the 1000 and 1200, and that's the reason why I select D. All right. So, question 14, almost there. In creating a SQL table, which specific data type will be the most appropriate to represent a street number? Because we have a number and a letter, so that needs to be a string. If it's only a number, then we can definitely live with numeric. And the last one, I have no bloody idea what that one here. Let's check it. In reference to the three-layer approach of data, I do believe this one here is probably external view, but let's see if the SQL. In three schema approach to software engineering for database management system, the ERD is the conceptual tier. Conceptual tier, which is nothing in there. Nice. All right, so ERD belongs in external view, logical view, or internal view. Let's have a look. Entity relationship diagram. I don't have any answer on that one, so that will be an interesting one. I would say entity relationship diagram. I would go. Normally, if me doing tests, I normally go with the D. That's what I normally do. External, logical, and internal. I think we need to discuss more. And if you have something in the books, then let me know. So with that, 19 minutes. Thank you for listening to my ranting. I'll see you on the next question.